In less than 2 weeks, Major League Soccer will be resuming their season since the pandemic broke out, just not here at BMO Field. Instead, at Walt Disney World in the same complex, the NBA will be resuming their season. Multiple players from the NBA and Major League Baseball have opted out of their season in the last few days over COVID-19 concerns.
Well, it's certainly been strange,
Yeah.
right? And the first few days here felt strange.
I'm concerned about it, just from a general standpoint of the numbers increasing and, the risk factor in all of this happening. But for myself, I know I'm taking and we're taking as an organization the necessary precautions and making sure that we're following each and every guideline to the T.
The Raptors are just a few hours away from Disney World, where they are going to resume their season and try to defend their championship. They're in a state that saw more than 18,000 COVID-19 cases over the weekend alone. The Denver Nuggets have reportedly closed their practice facility after multiple tests came back positive for coronavirus, and that's before they even flew to Orlando. In Major League Baseball, the list of players opting out continues. Colorado Rockies player Ian Desmond announced they are not going to play this season because of COVID-19 concerns. And the Jays practice facility, it's still closed in Dunedin because of multiple players and staff testing positive. The NHL announced 26 players have tested positive since mid-June, and they are still trying to determine the hub cities they will play in. But what about the CFL using hub cities?
They have discussed possibly going to Hamilton or the Burlington area, and I don't think any option is off the table. We're right now working with them. As you know, they have a substantial request financially in with the federal government.
While we wait to see what happens with the resumption of the leagues, where the Raptors and Leafs would normally play has been transformed into a hub to make meals for the less fortunate and to feed the frontline workers.
We are about 370,000 meals as of today, and our goal is to get up to 500,000 meals by the end of July.
For the last 8 weeks, MLSE staff have been making meals for frontline healthcare workers and helping the cities most vulnerable through their partnership with Second Harvest.
I think everybody can remember, that day when Kawhi hit the shot and we all went bonkers and, the whole building shook and, now we're using it for a different reason, but you know what, it's just as important, and we're feeding a lot of people and doing a lot of good.
While some players are opting out of the season over COVID-19 concerns, there are players choosing not to play this season because they're continuing their fight for racial justice. Coming up on City News, we speak to Norman Powell and Nick Nurse of the Toronto Raptors about the unprecedented steps the NBA is taking to keep the momentum behind the Black Lives Matter movement.
Man, it's been heavy. Man, it's been heavy.
Raptors head coach Nick Nurse talking about the conversations he's recently had with his players and other coaches around the NBA about the racial injustice happening across North America. While some players have opted out playing this season as they continue their fight for racial justice, the Raptors chose to play in the hopes of using their platform to continue the conversation.
I know that this platform is going to be unique and different, but I also know that it's going to be all eyes on us. And with it all being televised and every game is going to be shown that way, you can do a lot to show where you stand and speak on the matters that way.
In early June, the National Basketball Coaches Association established a committee on racial injustice and reform and to try to come up with solutions within NBA cities. And they're also working on a plan to be able to use their press conferences as a tool to keep the conversation going.
They're formulating, kind of rotating that a few coaches on each day are going to talk about a historical perspective or what happened. This happened on this day in history, or something to again keep the message going each day.
Nurse says the players and coaching staff have been speaking almost daily about the racial injustice that has happened and continues to happen, and ways that they can try and make change.
Long calls, lots of silence, but lots of sharing, lots of just heavy air, man. Even though we're all on computer screens, you could feel the weight on everybody with it. And you just try to listen, give them a platform to share with each other, lean on each other. Like, what do? You lean on your family, you lean on your team. We try to take care of each other, check in, see how we are, and then try to do something.
The majority of players in the NBA are from the United States, but Powell, who is from San Diego, knows being on Canada's only NBA team that there's a responsibility to bring to attention the issues happening north of the border too.
Racial injustice is not just happening in America, it's happening worldwide, and I think the focus has been on the United States, but for us, it's been a privilege to be the only team in Canada, and to have that platform and to speak out about the inequalities and injustices, both stateside and in Toronto and Canada as a whole. We're taking that very serious.
The NBA will reportedly be painting Black Lives Matter on the court when the season resumes in July. Lindsay Dunn, City News, Toronto.